Welcome back, I'm Captain Xavier, and today I am starting a new build. Finished the 104, or at least everything but the sails and the yard arms, waiting on parts for those. I think I still need to do the figurehead as well. Need something suitably blingy. I think I got the last parts for that in today, so we'll get around to that. I am starting a 54 gun ship of the line, a fourth-rate ship of the line for the blue faction. And since I built the 104, things were imbalanced, so between Sergeant Deplorable and I, we needed to add 104 guns to the blue fleet, so he's building a 50 gun, and I'm building a 54 gun, and that will then re-establish balance. Both fleets will now have 314 cannon, which means between them, they've got 628, which is more cannon than were present at the Battle of Gettysburg. So, it's a lot of guns. Anyway, I have the hull worked out here. I am basing this on Super 6 Lenubis, which is you can look up on Eurobricks. I'll have a link down in the description. He was kind enough to provide me with the working studio file. Didn't actually have instructions, so I had to deconstruct it and figure it out on my own. But from that, I was able to figure out the dimensions of the hull, and I'm gonna go from there. So let's get started. There may have been some building off camera. I have to build the whole thing off camera. I don't know why I decided I didn't want to film this one for some bizarre reason. I don't know. Anyway, it came out fantastic. I did make a number of significant changes from Super 6 original design. I made the hull 2 studs wider. I made it, I don't think I made it any longer. I did make it at least 4 plates taller in order to get things proportional, because my 64, 74, 104 are all my own design, and they're built to a different scale than the frigates that Super 6 designs were. Because I use Super 6 designs for both of my 36-gun frigates. Those were based on the Fair Maiden, which was his design. My sloops of war are based on the Barracuda Brig, which just a little bit, I took out a midsection, made him shorter. And then my 44-gun heavy frigate is a modified version of the Fair Maiden, just scaled up slightly. My 3 ships of the line, my previous ones, were completely my own design, and to build those, I built the 74 first, and then scaled it down to build the 64, and then scaled it up to build the 104. I didn't want to further scale it down to build this one. I wanted this one to be very distinctly different than those. Those all very clearly are the same design, and that works because they're all for the same faction. This one's for a different faction, and so I wanted to build it to a different design. And luckily, it turned out that Super 6 was working on a ship of the line. He was making a third-rate 74 gun, but I wanted a little bit smaller, and luckily this one was the previous version, and it was a little bit smaller. And so I put it together. It is pretty snazzy, and unlike my designs, the decks on this one actually do come off, and you can see what's going on underneath. So you can actually open it up and kind of see what's going on in there, which is pretty cool, really. It's got staircases going all the way down, just like the interiors on mine. One of the things that are beautiful about his is he had full interior detail that I haven't gotten to yet. Officers' quarters and the beds and the galley and all of that kind of got overlooked as I was getting it to the point that it is. It's obviously not done. I don't have the yard arms, and there's a lot of interior detail I would still like to add, and some structural things that I would like to alter, just because I like having things being very structurally sound. But I'm definitely very, very pleased with it. Like how the back end came together. One thing that's different about this than my 64s and or my other ones is you can, in fact, just pick this one up with one hand. It's lighter and it is solid, whereas the other ones, it comes apart into segments and you really can't hold them like this. But I really like how the back end came together, as well as the sides. There's some modifications I made to that, just again for structural and preferences and aesthetics. I also really like how the front end came together, like the detailing on that. Very pleased with how that ended up coming together. I made some changes to it earlier today, and it looks much, much better now. So, like the coloring, like the scale, it is really right between my 44 and my 64. The width is exactly in between them, the length is roughly between them, and the scale looks pretty good. This one is built, like I said, on a slightly different scale than my 64, 74, and 104. This one is built on the scale that the frigates are built on. Now, the frigates were built on a prefab Lego hull, which is very limiting on the size, and so he designed them so that it looks proportional. It looks like a proper frigate, but it really is way too small for minifigs. If you're being, really historically accurate and all that, whereas my bigger ships of the line are a little bit closer, but even they are a little bit small. That's kind of the thing about minifig scale, is they're not to scale. They're not anatomically, accurate to a human. They're way too wide, and the proportions are just a mess, which makes building anything to scale for them difficult, obviously. But this one is much more to the scale of the 36s. It looks great with the 36s on either side of it. It's a beautiful little squadron, and it's going to look great with Sergeant Deplorable's his 32s and his 50 and his 74. Now, his 74 is also built on roughly the same scale as my big ones, and rather than build his 50 to scale with his 32 gun frigates, he's building it to scale with his 74. So it's a scaled down version of a 74. It's probably going to be similar in size to my 64. So it's going to be amusing that this 54 is going to be a fair amount smaller than his 50, but that's just kind of how Lego scale works, and they'll still look beautiful all in a line, and I really, really like how this came together. Like I said, got details I need to do. I need to add the deck guns, and some of the rigging still needs work, and interior detail and all of that, but I'm very, very pleased with how they're coming together. It's a very, very handsome ship. Just lovely. The Super Sick does good work with bringing in the curves and stuff. So, yeah. Well, there you have it. My 54-gun, 4th-rate ship of the line will definitely be ready in time for Brick Cascade. I need to continue to reach out to them about making sure we have enough size. Because Brick Cascade, they say if your build is bigger than 3 base plates in any direction, you need to reach out to them and coordinate proper size. They ask you to tell how many studs the dimensions are, height, width, and length, and the length of ours can be measured in yards, so it's big. Each ship is about, a yard long, and there's 6 ships of the line, 5 frigates, and 2 brigs. So, yeah, we're hoping that we'll actually get enough room, because at Brick Cascade we really didn't, and we ended up having to set it up in a way that didn't really show it off in its magnificence. We're really hoping to get 2 long sets of tables, ideally either in a T, which would take up probably way too much room, but 2 rows where people can walk in between them would be really ideal, so we could have the 2 lines passing each other. One going one way, one going the other way, and the full line up and broadsides going and all of that, and it'll look pretty amazing, we're hoping. So that's the goal. You're on upside down, sir! How very dare you. Train? Right, there it is. Let me know what you think of this 54. And thank you for watching.